What's up, everybody? I'm over here with Jamie Knott today. Today it's just us two. You get to hear our little bullshit today. We're going to talk about kind of like where we're at and everything and what we're doing. I think we're going to talk about some of the things we look for and kind of like what we got coming up. I probably said that already. But let's talk, you know what? Let's talk about real estate a little bit, man. I know you're like getting into it, right? Into the foray of it. I have a few properties too. You know, you hear people saying all the time, like, it's not a good time to buy. Interest rates are high. What else? There's a bidding war. I could have sworn like 3 years ago it was the same conversation. And even before COVID, it was like, interest rates are too high. Prices are too high. And I'm like, it was fucking 3%. You know what I mean? So like, what's your take on, you know, ready? What's your take on that? On property taxes, everything in New Jersey.
This is a loaded subject, right? But there's so many facets to it. The bottom line is, if you look at the 500 wealthiest people throughout the history of the world, they all own dirt. Yep. They all have real estate, right? Starts with real estate, then it moves into fine art, and then they can play around with their taxes year after year after year because it fluctuates on the real price of things. But the bottom line is, if you don't own it, you don't own it, and you're always paying down somebody else's mortgage. Yep. So what's the point? That's my mentality now. You know, and it's coming up with the scratch sometimes to really make it work, right? Yeah. Like, how did you get your start in real estate? You didn't just wake up one day and you owned fucking, 8 units on Park Avenue, right? So like, what's the deal, bro?
I kind of did. Not Park Avenue, but look, I got lucky. I got blessed. I don't want to say lucky because my parents came here with nothing. Typical story, you know what I mean? Immigrant Portuguese, tight Portuguese community. My dad, my uncle, and his brother bought a property in Harrison together, a 10-unit. Now, it sounds great, but when there's 3 players in there isn't much fucking going on, right? That was their first foray. They had some already. It was my dad's first foray. They actually, like, kind of let him join it, right, to get it. And they bought the 2 businesses that were downstairs. This was in, like, 80, 81, and one was an appliance. Like they would sell appliances, right?
Small
TVs,
appliances, yeah.
No, TVs, everything. Back then, there was no like Best Buys or nothing.
It was like all a Radio Shack in Portuguese Radio Shack.
Yeah. Well, they bought it from 2 Jews, right?
Shack.
So they had their shit together, and it was a cafe. So they really wanted the businesses, and we talked about that, and the building came with it, right? So it was one of those.
Perfect.
And interest rate was fucking great back then. It was like 18%, right? It was like 15 to 18%.
Oh
so if everybody thinks interest rates are fucking high now, go do your homework. And they still bought it. Right, that's the thing, and banks weren't lending like that. It was just like, it was. I believe it was more difficult. You'll hear people like it was easier back then because it was only 80 grand for the building. It's like, yeah, but 80 grand in 1980 could have been $1 million to them. Right. You know what I mean? When you don't got shit, it doesn't matter. So we got to live in one of the apartments. We moved from Newark. That's how we lived in Harrison, and so my job was like being with my dad. Like he had his job, and like we fixed everything. We couldn't afford to pay people. So it sounds really like luxurious, but like I learned how to solder copper. I learned how to fix, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff.
You were kind of being a mini landlord / maintenance.
Yeah. Like
manager, right?
By necessity. And then obviously later on it like benefited me, right? And I liked it too. I started vetting the clients, started doing leases, all that stuff. But I didn't know the financial part of it. Because they got it with my uncle and his brother, and they kind of had a credit union too. It's different. Move fast forward to 2010.
What do you mean they had a credit union?
So there was like lots of different cultures, banks won't lend to them, so they started their own credit union. And a credit union is like, it could be Carpenters Union, it could be Longshoremen, it could be Portuguese Center, something like that. They started Lusitania Credit Union, just a Portuguese name. Everybody would put their money in there and bundle it together. And now you could utilize it. Wow. Right? There's interest, there's payments. Yeah, it's a fund pretty much, right?
That's crazy.
It's regulated. After...
That's still around?
Yes, but now it's a savings bank.
Because they transitioned
to it. So he's in Newark, Harrison, Hillside. It's like 5 traditionally Portuguese communities. Pretty good. My cousin kind of like he's the president, but the same thing. They started with nothing, put it together and kind of put it. So that's how we got that building. And then 2000.
Do you guys still have that building?
We do still have that building.
Oh,
correct.
Great.
So in 2016.
And your uncles are still involved?
No. It's just ours. We bought them out. We had one in Jersey City kind of by Madame, right? They bought that in 1980 also.
Wow.
For like $20,000. When like my parents stayed with the Harrison, my uncle stayed with Jersey City one, he dumped it in like 99, right before 2001. He still did great
Okay.
a couple years later, and it would have been like really,
Even today, I mean,
the thing, you can't
of
pick it. You
course.
just dump
You
it when
never
you gotta
know.
dump it. So like, but like when I went to buy my first 3-family, right, I knew to buy a 3-family, not a 1-family first. I bought it like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to, like, I knew I had to save for a down payment. I didn't know there was an FHA program. I didn't know I only needed like 5% down. Like I had to learn all that stuff. So I talked to my buddy Nelson. Shout out Nelson Alves. He's got 200 units.
He'll be on.
Yeah, he's gonna be on soon. I already talked to him, and he schooled me how to like do it. And he had a mortgage brokerage,
Right.
so he showed me how to do it, fix my credit. I had a lot of like liabilities, right? So I had like 2 bikes, motorcycles, 3 cars, and I thought like I was just living that life. You know what I mean?
Bro.
And he's like, yeah, but when they pull your report, it shows like you owe.
Right.
So I had to get rid of all that stuff.
Your
and,
revolving credit is nothing but debt, right?
correct. So I learned debt to income ratio, right? And I learned what the percentages used to be. It was so hard to get that first house. It was the best thing that happened to me because I learned the ins and outs of everything.
Where is it?
It's in Bloomfield. I still have that too.
Okay,
and I
great.
lived in it. So I lived in it.
Which is the best part, right?
Correct. I lived in it, had the other 2, and it paid for itself. And all I paid was like $900 a month out of pocket. But I knew once I moved out, that extra money would pay for my 1-family, right?
Got
So
it.
I bought another
Is there a
2-family.
mortgage on that still today?
Yeah, on
Okay.
all of them, yeah. I have another 2-family I bought. And then listen, I'm not getting into it, but like once you buy one and then another, the problem is the first time I bought it with 5% down, the next time they want 25, 30% down, right?
Right.
So now you have a liquid shortage, right? So you have to
Is
get
it
creative.
because you were living in the first one and that's why?
Yeah, correct.
So if it's a
Anything investment,
non-livable commercial
anything investment is 25, 30% down, no
Okay.
matter, unless you're doing a financing or some other way. But
other way.
traditional, with a bank, it's like that. I had to learn that too, right? And so I bought it with a buddy, and like the thing is, like now I have momentum. Now it's like cool. I have my businesses, saving money, doing this, linking up with other people who want to do the same. Like I want to grow, and that was when we buy that one, 2018, and then 2019 I bought my home, and COVID happened after that, right? And of course, like everybody else, they're like, shit's fucked up. You can't buy, interest rates, or bidding wars or whatever. We bought 32 units in like a year and a half, 2 years.
all different sizes and
So we bought 120 unit, right? It was like a package of 12 and 8, 20
what town
unit.
is that one
That's in Montague. You might have to look that up on Google.
in? That's in the woods.
It's in the
In the
woods.
sticks.
It's on a golf course, actually, right?
That's nice.
That's probably like my best deal. And then I have one in Passaic, a 6-family, and I have one in Nutley, a 6-unit that I'm trying to move right now too. And
The one on the corner of Passaic and Chestnut.
correct, yeah.
Got it.
And so
We're gonna buy that, by the way.
let's do it, man. Let's make it happen. I'm always so like that's the thing, right? So like I used to buy like 2 and 3 families. Now I'm going into the 10s and 20s, right?
Yes.
And now I'm looking like at a 53. 'Cause what happens is every time you do it, you grow. You go through the growing pains, grow. You don't have money, you figure it out. You're like every time you're like leveling up, getting that shit. And now I look at stuff like, I got this 53 unit that fell on my lap and a 33 unit. I don't have the fucking money for it.
Right.
Hopefully you do. But I could put the deal together. I can manage it. You know what I mean? Like I could run the numbers on it. I could take it from a cap rate of like 5% to a 7% very quickly. Like
What is cap rate?
a cap rate is like a percentage, right? There's a formula to it, which I can't explain here.
Okay.
But it's pretty much like what the building's worth, what it generates, and it's a percentage, right? So you kind of want to look for a cap rate of 6-7%, but you're going to pay for it. That means like it generates a lot of income, right? If you see anything that's 4%, it's
That means
shit.
that means the rent roll is high and you're making money on it.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
Okay.
If you get something 10%, it's great, but somebody's going to sell that for a lot of money
You're
because
gonna pay for it.
yeah, so
You're gonna pay up front.
you got to figure out what cap rate you want and what
Right.
adjustments you can
And how do
make.
you increase the cap rate? By
So, well, more income.
renovating?
So renovating, rents going up. A lot of the buildings I buy are like the owners have owned it for a while. They're checked out. They haven't raised rents in a while. I kind of like that because I got to make sure there's like no rent control.
Opportunity.
All I got to
there.
do is like $50, $100 on each one every year, and then on 20 units, $50 is what is that? I can't do the math. $50 on 10 is 500. It's $1,000 a month, right? And then so that's $12,000 a year. So every year, if I increase it 12,000, it's a lot of fucking money, right?
Grows quick.
So that's why the bigger ones are more valuable too.
Right.
You have more. You have
Now,
more.
how
to
do
play
you
with.
work that out? Do you have partners on some of these? Do you,
I have
are
one
they
partner.
mostly yours?
They're mostly mine.
Okay.
Right? The majority of them are mine. I have partners on two of them. The same partner on two of them, Dave.
Okay.
And it's like whoever Dave brings value. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like whoever else brings value. I know my role. Like I pretty much run all the real estate.
You're the hammer
Yeah.
in the toolbox.
You know what I mean? Like my vacancy rate's pretty good too. It's like it's less than 5% considering all of them. Like tenants, because you hear about evictions, you hear this. Like,
Sure.
I know how to make it happen quick. I talk to them. Payment
Speaking
plan.
of which, was COVID rough? Did you have a lot of tenants who didn't pay?
No,
I mean,
I worked. You know what? Like I vet all my tenants, right? The only ones is Montague because it's far. I'll get a realtor, but then I'll go meet them. Like I usually put an ad like apartment for rent, and I vet them. I
in the
introduce
local
myself.
paper.
Yeah, local
Okay.
paper, Craigslist I use too, which is
Okay.
really good. Word of mouth. I love referrals, right?
Sure.
I work with them. I show up. Now you can't do that when you have 500 apartments eventually. Like you have to figure out some
Right.
systems, but you can have a guy that does, right?
Right.
So like, and I'm still learning. Like I talked to my buddy. There's always somebody doing better than me. He's got 200. He's built. My other buddy's building, I think, 60 of them right now. Kids I grew up with. I was just hitting him up to refinance something. So it's like, the thing is, people think you need to have the money. You need to have this, that. You don't even need the resources. You need to be resourceful, right? So like, I don't need to have the money. The hardest thing to get is the opportunity. Who's throwing 53 units around like that?
Well, talk me through that. This is the next thing up for you, right?
Yeah.
This is the next big swing you're going to take at the bat.
Correct.
So, how are you putting this together? What's the price?
So I'm working the deal first, right? It's 53 units. They're asking 8.9. I could.
Where is it?
It's in. I'm not gonna disclose. It's. I mean, I don't got it yet.
He thinks I'm going to take it.
No, not you. I'm not worried about. You're not gonna take it. You might partner with me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Bro, these are unreleased. We got one guy in there.
I
All
got
right.
it.
You tell me later.
Yo, earmuffs, bro.
Cock, balls.
It's close by, right? So it's 53, and
It's around the way, girl.
their loan is $6 million, right?
Okay.
I could actually transfer into that loan, which I never knew before. This is all new shit to me too.
Okay.
So I could the loan could be mine, right? It's Fannie Mae. I could grab it. And so I would owe, if it's 8.9.
It's like taking over a lease almost, but you're taking over a mortgage,
pretty
right?
much. But and then I'd pay the difference of what they're asking, 2.9.
What is it, swap a mortgage?
Pretty much. It is.
That's funny, man.
It's like swap a wife, but a mortgage, right? Swingers for real estate.
I don't know anything about what he's talking about right now, just for the record.
You'll be all right. So it's 8.9. Obviously, I'm not going to pay that. So if I could get it for 7.5 or 8 now, from 6 to 8, that's 2 million I need, or 1.5, right? And I still don't have that, but you see how it got
Yes.
closer?
Right.
So now I could play with that. I could hit you. I don't want 30 partners, but I could put something together.
Right.
Maybe I got to just get money really quick. I'm selling my building too. You know what I mean? So,
Right,
So
so-
the smaller one, which, my ego says, oh, it looks bad, right? But I'm like, but I'm getting 53
Yeah.
units. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like, it is.
Ego
what it
doesn't
is.
pay the bills.
No, I'm like well past that.
Right.
So like, but those are still like old beliefs I have. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like, don't post it. Don't let nobody know. I'm like, how the fuck's it gonna sell if I don't post it?
Exactly.
And listen, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't use the word nervous, right? But I'm gonna say like, I don't feel good in my skin sometimes because there's a lot of money, a lot of changes, a lot
Right.
of other stuff's coming up. You know what I mean? There's a lot of pressure
going on.
Yeah. But then at the end, like, it's exciting too. Right? It's like I can look at it. It's the same feeling. Am I nervous or am I excited? Heartbeat's the same, right? It's like my palms get sweaty, my
Right.
spaghetti, right? And you either perform or you don't. Like, the opportunity is this big, man. It's like, what are you gonna do with it? I'm sure the same's happened to you a million times.
It has.
Where, I'm sure, ready? No pun intended. There's a lot on your plate,
There is.
right?
There
but
is.
like, you rather have a full plate or just
No, I want to
little
choose.
morsels?
I want to choose. My life is all about options.
Yeah.
And I try and surround myself with the best people and pick the best options possible. And people call me selfish for that, but who else is going to take care of me the way I take care of myself?
Yeah.
If I don't love me first, I can't go out and give it to anybody else. So, that's kind of how you and I linked up, right? You feel that, you see it happening, and you're like, this kid's got it. You know, let me stick by him and see if we can build something together. And that's kind of where we're at. So, you know, I would love to get that building in Nutley, right?
Yeah.
Because it's my hometown.
Yeah.
It's close. It's a good opportunity. As soon as I looked at it, you told me I would do this too, and I was like, motherfucker, he was right. I'm looking at the windows. I'm looking at the doors. I want to make it perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's just the way my mind works, you know? But you saw it, you grabbed it, you got a great price on it, and you can make some money and turn it around. And that 6 becomes 53, which is, you know, fucking, come on, man.
That's
9
the
times
game, man.
multiple. Like,
Absolutely.
what are we doing?
And listen, like doing those things, like again, there's a learning curve. Listen, there's countless books, there's coaches, there's a bunch of shit, right? But there's nothing.
Phil
like
is for hire. It's $99.99 a month.
It is. You remember? Oh shit, that's a starter package though. That's not. You know?
That was the friends and family. That's for me.
Friends and family. There's only one, right? But like I like this world. And listen, and it just happens to be we're talking about real estate, right? But then it's businesses too, and it's this, like, you know, do I bite off more than I could chew? 100% yes, all the time. But I also have bigger rewards, right? And then like comes the risks. But like, you know, momentum, we were talking about it before, right? It's like, is it greed? I don't like, money's not my motivator. Like problem solving is, you know, like, can I get it? Because once I get it, I'm grateful and I did it. But
I'm pretty sure there's a crossword in the New York Times every day if you're really interested.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like,
I could stick to that.
I say that shit to my wife too. Yo, we had the same thing. I told you, I called you after. I was like, yo, shed some fucking wisdom on me right now. Cause I want to throw myself out of a 3rd-story window. Like, we went and looked at houses in Montclair on Sunday. We had a couple open houses and we saw something nice and my kids were chirping in the back, fighting over. It's a fucking 7-bedroom house.
Yeah.
You're not fighting over shit. You know what I mean? Like, realize your role, be good human beings first, and the rest will follow. Like, but my point is that, you know, there's stress in every situation, and it's how you make it and how you take it, right? So that you gave me some perspective, and I took a step back, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be grateful for a minute. I'm gonna take a beat, and I like how you kind of push me in a certain direction. Like, I need that in my life. You know, if I don't have that get up and go, sometimes I can get kind of complacent. And complacency for me is a dangerous place at times, you know, because I'll get comfortable and then I'll get lazy and then I'll get in my head and then nobody wants to be in my fucking head. I need to be out here playing the game, you know, playing a role, being somebody's boss or mentor or dad or coach.
You got to be careful with we got to be careful who we surround ourselves with, right? So like, I got somebody always pushing me, right? Whether it's joking or not. Like, sometimes I'm like, they're telling me to do shit. And listen, I got to do, like, is it keeping up with the Joneses or is it a real mental push? And like, I know myself pretty good where it's like, it's a combination of both. It's like, can I make it happen? Because needs and wants, like, I could divvy it up, you know what I mean? And like, really easy. But sometimes I want to see if I can fucking do it.
What is it? What's the burning desire? What gets you out of bed in the morning? I mean, is it 100 million? Like, you're already looking past that, bro, as far as I can see.
But I get out of bed in the morning just like happy that I got out of bed. I know it's cliche, man, but like,
no, it's not.
I don't wake up like, no, I mean, like, it's said so much, it's watered down for certain people, right? But like, for me, like, I get up and I'm like, I'm fucking excited, right? That don't mean my fucking day is just like
hunky-dory perfect.
Even today I was like, you saw me, you could tell a little bit.
Yeah, you a little beat up when you walked in, like,
and then
my man had a day.
So it's not my whole day. Then I do this or something else, and I'm like, cool, back at it.
Reset, let's go.
I knew coming in, I was listening to something else. I know how to change that. I don't have to let my feelings fucking dictate my life. Feelings aren't facts, right? I learned that. And it took a lot for me to even understand that, because I thought somebody was kicking me in the nuts saying, like, what do you mean my feelings aren't fucking fact? Like, I'm sad. It's like, yeah, but it's a feeling. It's not a fucking fact. It doesn't dictate it unless you give it fuel.
That's it.
And when I learned that, I'm like, wow, which means you could change it at any time. Depression's like that. You know, like, you know, it's like, is depression real? Absolutely. Does everybody have it? No. Right? People just don't have coping skills. So they'll call it something else. Are people bipolar? Yes. Is everybody bipolar? And on medicine, they shouldn't be, right? Autism. You go to other countries and it's like, what do they have? A force field of nobody got bipolar, nobody has autism. So it makes you, because, you know, I travel a lot and it makes you like just look at things differently. Like, why is it like glaring and you know what I mean, like in the
Right.
U.S. so much. And I think
Because everybody needs their little box and label and
yeah, or pill,
pill.
right? So it's like, you know, I posted that thing the other day about the lobster. You remember? And it's like, how does a lobster grow? A lobster grows, but the shell doesn't move. And as soon as it gets to the shell, it has to burst. It goes behind the rock. It bursts the shell and it creates a new shell. And then it grows again, and that shell becomes uncomfortable.
Crabs do the same
And
thing.
it goes, right? So, but imagine they went to a doctor when they were hurt, and the doctor's not, just take this, don't worry about it. They would never grow. So what people think is stress, what people think is overwhelm, it's growth, right? And it's like, do you smother it down? Fear, all that shit. It's growth, being uncomfortable. So like, and I was the same way. I always looked, and my shit was drugs, right? And getting out of myself, like first, like just being awkward and stuff like that. But it's like, now that I know that, I hold myself to a different standard. Like, cool, you can get through it. Like, there's shit I don't want to do, right? And I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to power lift. I'm good. You know what I mean? I go to the gym, I work out,
Right.
but I don't want to do that, right? But I know the difference. I know it's not like I can't deal with it. It's just a choice that I don't want to do it, right? I prioritize my stuff. And I do the same thing with my family. My wife's father owned the pharmacy, right? So I got to fight with that all the fucking time. There's a remedy, a doctor. I'm like, yo, just work it out. But
Because he looks to medicine.
because his dad did. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
standard medicine, right.
Coca-Cola syrup, take this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Take this antibiotic all the time, and it's nobody works through anything. You can kind of see it a little. They're great people, right? But just like
Sure.
their coping skills are very like.
But it's also what they learned, right? It was a learned behavior
Correct.
when they came up, and
Yeah.
you know, nobody questioned anything
No,
really.
listen, you and I have the same one, but you could also unlearn things,
Right.
right? So that's the bigger thing. Like patterns are patterns.
That's
Cool.
true.
Beliefs are beliefs. You know the deal. Like you're how old? You're what? 50 what? I got the guy in the booth fucking laughing too. He caught you. We
Yo,
don't gotta
I'm
disclose.
42, bro.
All right, so you're old, right? So
Yeah.
like, it don't matter, right? You're
Nah, it doesn't matter at all,
25.
bro.
So
Come
like,
on, this baby
you
face
still
we're talking about over
yeah,
here.
We're not editing this either, right?
Hell no.
So, you know, you grow up with a certain environment, with certain like parent beliefs, church, whatever it is, right?
Oh, it was church.
Are they the same?
Nope.
Right? Are they the same? No, they change, right? So
They
like,
couldn't be more different
of
now.
course, right? So like, can everything change?
Honestly, bro, it's learning what not to do that really pushed me in the direction of, you know, because I go to church now and I feel weird, man. You listen, you look around. That shit is bizarre, dude. What's going on in there? It's a little fucking crazy. You know, and I don't want to get religious or non-religious,
that
but
might be another
yeah,
episode.
yeah, we could do religion next.
Yeah.
Religion is man-made.
Of
You know,
course.
spirituality is God-made.
Yeah,
There's a big
correct.
difference.
Faith and religion are two different things.
Two very different things. And I think we know intrinsically inside us what's good and bad, you
Yeah.
know? There's a little God in all of us saying, go left, dude. Right's trouble. Trust me,
Well,
right's
the black
trouble.
and white is really easy, right?
Yeah.
The gray is where. so
Well,
that's the whole
you and I
thing,
have a larger gray area. That's the
right?
difference.
My whole thing's gray. So, like, principles and morals, right? Are they facts?
No.
What if you believe them so hard that they are?
I mean, look at God in general,
Yeah.
right? I mean, is it a fact? Has anybody ever seen him
Yeah.
or, you know? No.
But like, even principles in terms of like, I would never, you know what I mean? Like your I would nevers.
Oh, yeah. Like I would never smoke crack until
Yeah.
I'm smoking crack.
Correct,
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
So, like, that's what I mean. Like,
and then
and
it's like,
those-
I'll never bang dope, right? Like
those
you
are
would
on-
never.
Those are on this extreme, right? And
Right.
We're good. Those are on. You gotta pay the electric. Those are on this extreme, right?
I told you I got today covered, right, bro?
But on the other extreme too, it's almost like, cool, which are the ones that you can bend? So like what I'm saying is like principles and morals also keep people stuck and stubborn and don't want to grow because this is what I believe. I've cemented my feet in here. And
Right. They're also controls, right? Like you look back over time. I mean, to me, religion was almost a guy in the sky that was saying, be good, do good, work 9 to 5, go to school, get a job, buy a house. And that's it, bro. That's life. Get married, have kids. It ends there. It's the exact opposite today for us, right?
Did you ever hear the story about like how the Russians during the time of czars, right, got religion there?
No.
So in Russia, there were different kingdoms everywhere, right? Before it was like unified as the Russian kingdom. And he was having problems with the different kingdoms because when there was a drought, right? they would blame the king for all the fucked up shit, right?
Right.
But then when the crops were great and there was money, you know what I mean? They would also blame the king. And
Right.
he's like, I need a buffer over here, right? So he sent out different emissaries, right, to Buddhist, Jewish, Muslim, Orthodox Christian, which was in Istanbul, Constantinople, Roman Catholic, right? So he sent them all over, and he came back, and he's like, and he chose obviously they're Orthodox Christian over there, right, for the most part in Russia. So he chose that, and the reason he chose it is because he needs somebody to blame, to buffer when shit goes bad. You didn't pray enough. You didn't give enough, right?
Right.
You didn't like repent enough. You didn't give a 10% or whatever to it. It was the buffer. And then God anointed him king, right? So like when shit went well, like I'm his representative, right? So like what did that do? It kept people in check.
Yep.
They didn't go attack the king in revolt for the most part, right? And everything is because of God. It's God's way. And to this day, every society is pretty much the same way.
Everything's the same. Whether it's good or bad, it's,
Yeah.
oh my God.
But it's not faith.
It's not. And it's not facts.
Yep.
But look how widespread it's believed across, you know?
Yep.
So it's
Hey, they need something, man. Not everybody. Listen,
I
everybody
don't
wants-
think there's enough God in today's society, bro, to be honest with you. Like
No.
the way schools are changing, the way kids are, they think they're slick. They don't
Yeah.
respect fucking the law. You know what I mean? Like the
Well,
way
that's-
cops get treated and stuff. I don't know, dude. I mean, you think that starts at home? Like, obviously it does, but
I
like,
think it's just, it's different now. Listen, first, we're on the other spectrum. We're not kids anymore. So even when my parents were like, they were like, look at you kids now. That's generational, right? And
right.
not everything. Second,
Most of it, music, all of it. You're like,
correct, right? The fucking Beatles were the worst. Now I'm like,
Right.
we're really listening to this shit right now, right? Like Johnny Cash was like, wow, he's shooting dope and coke and singing bad country music. Now they're like, oh, I love Johnny Cash. It's so great. So things change, right?
Things
Our
change.
perception of authority changes. Right?
Huge.
Teachers, cops, everything, authority, right? I think their roles change too.
Do you
To an
respect
extent.
authority now at 52 years old?
Do I respect humans? Right? I know they have a job. I don't think anybody's like higher than me, but
Okay.
I think that they have certain positions and I respect their positions as
Got
long
it.
as they're, and even when they're assholes to me, I want to go home at the end of the day. So the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
I don't want to break out handcuffs.
It's funny.
again.
I hated cops, right? I was
Me too.
always doing something wrong. Now I'm trying to always do something right. I say hi to every cop I pass. Thank you. How you doing, officer? You know what I mean? It's
You open my car, it's like gold cards and shit. And
Right.
I'm like, you sure you want to get it? They're like, no, I do want you to have it. Use my name. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, wow, things are fucking,
Pretty
again,
amazing.
roles have changed,
yes, they have.
right? So like, is it this, you got to also be careful with the media because it portrays wherever you get your information, like, look how they're treating cops. You go to another channel, and it's like, look how much cops are assholes. Who's
It's
right?
who's telling the story?
Who's
That's
telling,
all that
if
matters,
the cops
right?
telling the story, of course it's
Yes.
tainted, right?
Absolutely.
If it's or somebody law enforcement, if it's somebody to like that's racially profiled or something, it's another. So like I think it's more like, I think us as human society needs to do a better job of figuring out our own information. And most people will say like, oh, I figured it out and researched this. Like, no, you went to a source that you trust, right?
Right.
And figured it out. But I think, look, I also think the pendulum swang all the way this way with like, let's listen to other people's viewpoints, and if they choose to be this or gender shit, and it went way too far, and everybody's like, all right, it's cool that you do it, don't push it towards me. You know
Right.
what I mean?
You could do whatever you want, but keep that shit over there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like I always believe the pendulum's gonna swing back, man.
It will.
I'm an optimist.
And we bring it full circle because the interest rates will drop like they always have and they always will, right?
Yeah, but then everybody's gonna buy up again.
So
and
the
then
name
you're
of the
gonna be
game
fucked.
is buy now.
Listen, somebody told me once, and I think they have 1,500 units, and it's a woman, right? And she's like, I'm like, so when do you buy? Like, and I knew it as that. She's like, always. Like, a deal's a deal. It doesn't matter. Interest rate, just if it doesn't work as an interest rate, then it's not a deal. Because interest rates could be low in prices, and then it's still not a deal. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the wealthy and people that have buildings, most think like they bought it in 2008 and 9 when shit went down. Nobody was buying shit and prices were down, right? Oh, they bought it before they made a move. Everybody's looking for that slick move. Like, You just got to go in. If it makes sense, go get it. You know what I mean? Everybody and their mother is waiting there like, interest rates drop. I got it. You hear them all, right? Yeah, I'm just going to ride this one out. Yeah, you and fucking 10 million motherfuckers.
Right.
You know, and then what? Like,
and the prices rise.
You're gonna pay for it. Like, buy now, refinance later if that's your fucking game plan.
Right.
You know, buy now while there's not 30 people after it. Right. If it looks too high, even better, because you'll readjust later. It's real estate. It's always, depending on where you buy, it's always gonna hold, especially around New York City, right? It's always gonna hold its value. What goes down here? Unless it's inflated. Like 2008 was different. It was a bubble, really. This is supply and demand. It's totally different. That's why prices went through the roof. They're not building like they used to. What are they building now? Apartment buildings.
Right.
Or are they building 2008? 2-family houses, 1-family houses. So there's a big difference. The key is to massive action. Do it now. Don't think about it. Don't, you know what I mean? It's not right.
Say yes and figure it out later.
Say yes and figure it out, man. You know me. That's my fucking thing.
That's my boy's motto over here. He didn't hear me call him 52 years old, by the way. I slid that shit right in
That's
there.
All right.
Nice. Real slick.
I got selective hearing.
On that note, I got to jump on some.
We're good?
I got to jump on some calls, bro.
Cool.
We got to cut it a little short today.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. We'll see you for the next one.
Can we get clapped out over here?
Clap out. Like booty clap. There you go. This was decorated by the same people at Madame.